Rather, said that Hunter Biden was selling the illusion of said access.
The witness testimony was very clear that Hunter may have, quote, promoted the illusion of influence on his father.
A source familiar with the matter tells me that, Archer told the committee that Hunter Biden was selling the illusion in quotes, of access to his father.
Dan Goldman said that Archer testified that it was the illusion of access.
That was the media and New York Congressman Dan Goldman spinning a new narrative following Devon Archer's testimony on the Biden family business. But newly released transcripts reveal the phrase illusion of access actually came from Representative Goldman's mouth first. Goldman asking, quote, "It's not about selling access to his father. It's about selling the illusion of access to his father. Is that fair?" in a leading question. Archer responds, "Is that fair? I mean, yeah, I think it is. I think that's almost fair."
That's almost fair. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer released those transcripts, and he joins us now. Congressman, thanks for joining us this morning. What do you make of this leading, questioning and sort of the lack of curiosity and the lack of interest in getting to the bottom of this corruption scandal on the part of Democrats?
Well, every 2 weeks we produce more evidence of wrongdoing by the Biden family. We produce more links to Joe Biden, and yet the mainstream media continues to turn a blind eye. I keep thinking at some point they're going to break. And we're seeing some movement from certain networks like CBS, but we still have a long way to go. But the one thing that drives me crazy is anytime I go down into a SCIF and get a briefing from the FBI, or anytime we do a transcribed interview like we did last week, you'll either have Jamie Raskin or Dan Goldman come out and tell the press complete lies about what we just heard, and the press will run with it. We produce bank records, we produce evidence, everything that I've said about criminal activity by the Bidens, I can back up with evidence. Yet one member of the House Oversight Committee on the Democrat side can come out and tell a narrative to the press, and they run with it.
Congressman, I've heard you say on several occasions, this is the beginning. You've essentially just begun the deposition phase, starting with Devon Archer. There are a lot of other characters in this, Eric Schwerin, Hunter Biden himself. Can you give us some expectation of what's to come with the deposition phase?
Yeah, well, we have other people like Devon Archer who were in business, so to speak, with Hunter Biden. I hate to say in business because they didn't have a legitimate business. Their business was influence peddling, and that's what Devon Archer testified in the transcribed interview. They were simply selling the brand, which was Joe Biden. This is what Devon Archer said. They got paid because people needed access to the federal government, and they knew that Hunter Biden was Joe Biden's son, and if they needed something, and they always did need something, because every one of these entities that were paying the Bidens the millions and millions of dollars, they were people with issues in their country. They were under investigation for corruption, many of them. They were crooks, so to speak. So we're going to bring in additional people. There are about 5 or 6 people whose names were also on these shell companies, these fake companies that the Bidens were using to launder money from these foreign nationals. Remember, the process involved a foreign country or foreign national wiring money to a fake company. Then the fake company would then turn around and wire the money to the Biden family members. They did this to hide the source of the revenue because they weren't supposed to get money from many of these countries. And secondly, they did it to hide from the IRS so they wouldn't have to pay taxes. I mean, the number of laws that have been broken by the Biden family is staggering. And what we saw last week in the transcribed interview, Joe Biden knew all along who they were getting money from and why. Real quick, Mr. Chairman, you were in the room. What was the disposition of Devon Archer? I mean, nobody closer to it than him. Was he reluctant? Was he relieved? I mean, what was the mood in the room? Well, I had the staff lead the deposition. I didn't want a lot of members in the room because that makes the witness uneasy. We had Andy Biggs and Jim Jordan in the room. I was on the phone. But at the end of the day, Devon Archer was under a lot of pressure. Look, the Department of Justice sent him a letter on Saturday. They sent him another letter on Sunday. There was constant communication from the Biden legal team trying to intimidate and harass our witness, trying to encourage him not to cooperate with the House Oversight Committee. They are doing this with our other witnesses. But we're going to continue to bring people in. We're going to continue to get bank records. In fact, hopefully next week we're going to release more bank records that show more suspicious wires from our enemies around the world that were going into the Biden family's back pocket. So everyone that's cooperating with our committee is under great pressure because of their concern that the Department of Justice is going to implicate them in wrongdoing and protect the Bidens, and that they're going to be eaten alive in the press. This is an example of witness intimidation every day by our Department of Justice and by the Biden legal team.
That is just so disheartening to hear that our own officials, both in the DOJ, the FBI, but also the Democrats, don't even want to hear from these witnesses, that they actually want to intimidate them and not let this information come out. It's just sickening. By the way, you are, to move to another topic, at the St. Jerome Fancy Farm picnic. It's like the largest picnic ever, a huge political event. When my husband would go to events like this, he'd get a really good feel for where the people are at, what they're talking about. What are you hearing from the people on the ground where you're at in Kentucky?
Yeah, I'm in West Kentucky at the Fancy Farm picnic. This is the greatest Kentucky tradition in politics. All the political candidates for statewide office come here to this little community in Graves County, Kentucky, and give old-fashioned stump speeches. But I've been here all week in West Kentucky, and I can tell you, one thing that Democrats and Republicans all agree on is they despise public corruption. And everyone's encouraging me and encouraging our investigation. They appreciate what we're doing. They stand behind what we're doing because they want to know the truth. And right now, the only entity in America that's providing the truth about the wrongdoing that the Bidens did is the House Oversight Committee, because many of the mainstream media aren't. Fox is doing a great job, but most of the mainstream media is not. And the Democrats like Dan Goldman continue to walk out in front of the press and deliver a completely false narrative of what's going on.
Well, Congressman James Comer, we appreciate you bringing all this to light and joining us this morning on Fox and Friends.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you,
Congressman.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.